This is the Real Positive Girl podcast, and I am your host, Sabrina, and I'm here chatting with you about your emotions, your mental health struggles, how to take those first few steps towards being more vulnerable, being more honest, and becoming more self-aware, because self-awareness is the number one key to so many things, just how communication is the number one key to basically everything in the entire world. And so we are doing that 2 times a week here. So welcome if you're new, and if you're not, welcome on back, my friends. Today, we are going to talk about something that came upon me super randomly, and I appreciate it. But we're going to talk about how to sleep better when you're overwhelmed and when you're stressed. So buckle up for that. That's going to be a good one. But before we get to that, as always, I want to ask you the most important question of the day, and that is, have we become friends online yet? And what I mean by that is, have you gone down scroll on down to the show notes and see where you can follow me on TikTok, on Instagram. If you like to tweet, hit me up on the Twitter and just come say hi, follow and then send me a DM. So maybe you already follow and you're like, oh no, I don't know. We haven't actually officially became friends. So send me a DM and say hi, say hello. Tell me if you like Jell-O. I kind of do. I don't know if I like it anymore. I didn't pre-prepare this question, and so now I'm do I actually still like that? I do still like pudding sometimes, certain brands, only the brands that have to be refrigerated, because the ones that are shelf stable, oh my gosh, what are we doing? I've always been bougie like that, always. Even when we were dirt poor growing up, I'm just I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on that. So yeah, come say hi to me. Let's become friends. Check it all out. How to spell my name is all down in the show notes. I look forward to seeing you there. And then the next question and the final question that I have for you before we get started and I take out the microphone for this episode. And obviously you can tell that I do this intro live every single time because that's the way I like to roll. The second and last question is, have you signed up for the weekly newsletter? If you didn't know and you were hesitant to sign up for it, or you're Sabrina, girl, you talk about how on your socials, how you can never get your life together to get that thing out on time. I changed the day and that changed the game, my friends. So if you've been wanting to sign up for the weekly newsletter or you have no idea what I'm talking about, again, scroll on down to the show notes, sign up for the weekly newsletter. It now comes out on Mondays, late morning, afternoon, West Coast time. And I am putting behind the scenes, what I'm working on, an inspirational quote, sharing things that I recommend, books that I'm reading. I always link my favorite Amazon things, and I want to start talking about more of those kind of things that are really geared towards things that I use in my everyday life, things that I use to help my own mindset and mental health and emotional management of my life. And oh yeah, there's always a lesson that I talk about. I'm trying to recall all this in the moment. So check that out every single week. And maybe you're no, not a weekly newsletter. That's not the kind of thing I do. Okay, well, did you happen to check out the Planner Journal Hybrid that's for sale on Amazon? That's awesome. Check it out. Or have you checked out the fact that you can do anonymous venting if you don't have anyone in your life that's emotionally available for you to vent to? This again, it's just another reminder for you to pop on down to the show notes after the show and have actual notes from the episode that you could have if you need to study something or remember something, and all the links that you could ever need. So check all that out. I look forward to sending me a message and becoming friends online on socials. But let's just get to today's topic, which again is how to sleep better when you're overwhelmed and stressed. Relax and refresh. Growing up, I fell asleep to the radio. And I feel this is not this really big revelation. However, now thinking about this, I didn't really think about it when I was writing the podcast. But now I'm thinking about the fact that I remember what my clock radio was, and I don't know how I got it. I don't know, if someone actually bought it for me or if I won it or something. It seems very random now because when growing up, we did not have a lot of money. My dad had jobs that made a lot of money, but they garnished his wages because of all this other drama that happened. But I had a clock radio that was Nickelodeon, like slime themed, like for reals. I remember it so clear as day. And it was a good clock radio, man. Like the radio was there in it, and like I would use it as an alarm clock, and it had like funny like alarms, which, as a kid, it was like great. And man, that thing was awesome. But I would listen to the radio, and then I remember um but then I actually had like a stereo system in my room, and I'm talking about like when I was like 10. But it's just music and like stereo systems and things like that was a really big deal for me growing up. Not just me personally, just like that's just the way my dad and I like that was our life. And but I feel like I still used the clock radio and not necessarily the stereo system because it was quieter. And I think you could like set it to go off at a certain time or just easier to turn off. Anyway, that doesn't even matter. But I would fall asleep to the radio, the clock radio, and that memory just popped up for me, and it was so funny. It was a Nickelodeon themed clock radio. That's amazing. I should find a picture of that and share it online. But so I would fall asleep to the radio and like really any kind of music because my whole childhood was filled with music constantly, and it's why it's such an important part of my life. Like so much, like music was such a big part of my life, so much that I like fell asleep to smooth jazz because that was like the thing that my dad really invested in and really knew a lot about, to smooth jazz in a sleeping bag on the floor of my dad's radio station. And yes, he had a radio station. It was like K-Jam. That was like the call letters, K-Jam. And it was smooth jazz. And my dad's radio voice was very silky and smooth. And it's just like those so many memories fill my childhood of sleeping on the floor of there. And then just being at home and always having music and having a sound and like having like it be played throughout the house, even though we lived like in a really tiny apartment in like a bad part of town. It's just amazing, like the dichotomy of things that we had and like where we lived and what was happening in our lives. And it's crazy. But yeah, so music is just like a really big part of my life. And I'm sure you're like, oh, Sabrina, how are we going to go from this to the theme of sleeping when you're overwhelmed and stressed? Don't worry. I created a through line, you guys. I did. So that habit of like falling asleep to music continued like through my entire life up until I got married. And I can't quite remember how I kept that going when I moved away after high school and I moved to college because I had a roommate. But I think it might have been like headphones or like having music played and I would end up going to bed before my roommate or something like that because I would still have something like playing. It was just like what I needed until I got married. And then my husband kind of like, he really trained me out of that. He was like, we can't do this because at first I couldn't have music playing. And so I would have like, I remember when we got married and moved into our student apartment, I would just have Friends playing, like the DVDs of Friends playing on the TV to help me go to sleep. And he really trained me out of that because that's like, he was like, I can't sleep. You got to sleep in the dark and the cold with no lights on and no sounds. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I worked into that. And so that's like kind of like where it took a break. Sometimes I would still add it in, like if he wasn't going to go to sleep at the same time, and I would just make him turn it off, and it just is what it is, right? But even now, it's something that I do when I need like an extra step of calmness before bed because that's what it was to me growing up, like this calm, like having that music playing in the background, even if like the song that was playing like at 2 a.m. in the background of my bedroom was some sort of a hip hop jam, it didn't matter. Because it was just like this soft, like comfort, calmness happening in like in my mind, in my subconscious. It was just like great. But again, like I said, my husband trained me out of that for the most part. But it's funny because he has trained me back into it, guys. And I was thinking about this recently because I was like, oh my gosh, when did he train? He trained me out of it like when we first got married. And then like, I'm trying to think like when he trained me back into that because then he started getting into it, even though he had switched me out from having nothing. And then I was like, oh, I need something. And then there was a job that he had where he got like a free sound machine, I think, or did he pay for it? I don't know. But he got a sound machine. It was like like connected to his job. And I've been using that sound machine for years. And so it's like I just have the sound machine. But then now he's gotten over the sound machine, and now we have a TV in our bedroom. And so now he has like the TV going with like Twitch in the background, or like some girl playing the piano on Twitch or YouTube or like whatever. And it's just so crazy how we've like gone this full circle of being married for almost like 16 and a half years. At the end of this year, it'll be 17 years. And now it's just like full circle of him being like, oh no, I need this comfort now. It's just so interesting. But you know, it's just hilarious to me. Anyway, I know many people would say that it's like not the healthiest sleep habit, you know, to have with something playing in the background because it can like keep your mind awake, but not for me. Not for me. It's actually comforting and calming, except when he has Twitch, like when they're playing a game in the background, then I'm just like, we need to turn this off because I don't really need to hear a bunch of kids like yelling. And it's not like kids, it's like grown ass men, but they're just yelling and playing the game so super loud. And I'm like, if that's really what I wanted to fall asleep to, I would have watched like MMA fighting or something in the background. But so it's just like, that was really comforting to me. And it's also so some people will say it's bad, and other people like me will be like, oh no, it's actually nice. And that's just another example of how different things work for different people. And just, I want you to keep that in mind, like in everything in life, but you know, specifically like these sleep habits, because I'll share things and you'll be like, no, I've tried that. And I would encourage you to try it again, maybe try it in a different way. You know, add in different things, go through a different routine. And then if it doesn't work for you, then move on to something else. Like there's no problem in that at all whatsoever. Because maybe falling asleep to music like isn't your thing. And that was like the whole through line of like, I fall asleep to music and it was so calming. And that's what actually helped me even as a kid when I was feeling stressed and overwhelmed, which I often did because of all the trauma and all the drama that was happening. But maybe that's like not your thing. Maybe it's the TV, right? I did progress to the TV when music was not available. Or maybe it's a sound machine, which is now the kind of thing that I rely on when I go to sleep. Or maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's the crisp quietness of your room. Or maybe you live by like a creek or like a lake or where there's lots of like frogs. We have lots of frogs. So that's kind of like sometimes the background music of me sleeping if I forget to turn the sound machine on. So maybe it's like any of those things. It could be a multitude of things. I just say do whatever works for you and helps you fall asleep fast and wake up refreshed. I think that's important. You want to be able to like induce sleep quickly and then wake up feeling refreshed and not like you just went to sleep. Like that's the worst feeling in the entire world. It's like going to sleep and then waking up and being like, did I just fall asleep? And you're like, oh, wait, no, it's been like 6 hours according to the clock. What the heck happened? What the heck happened? But maybe your problem isn't choosing what to fall asleep to, like whether it's music or the TV or what have you, but actually getting to sleep. Like actually being like, I'm going to lay down, head on my pillow or no pillow, whatever your thing is. It's fine. Or 20 pillows. Whatever it is. It could be just like actually like closing your eyes and being like, I am not asleep. Where are we asleep? You're just like, let's count some sheep. And it's not working. You just cannot get to sleep. A lot of times we can have trouble sleeping when we are dealing with a lot of stress, when we're feeling overwhelmed. And, you know, whether or not it's actually true insomnia, like it's like continual and it's happening all the time and all the other symptoms that go along with that, you can often like feel like a wreck in the morning, whether it's true insomnia or not. It's just like you wake up and you're like, again, did I actually sleep? Okay, but I think I slept, but why do I feel like crap? Why did I take till like 3:30 in the morning to go to sleep and then I have to wake up at like 7:30 and it's feels like basically no sleep. Nothing happened. No restoration, no relaxation. I got none of that, right? And it just sucks. And I just want to admit that because sometimes it's really good to just get out the honesty and the venting and be like, you know what? It does really suck to not be able to sleep. Also, I just want to tell you that in regards to this topic, I don't think anyone can tell me different that the topics that I end up doing often come straight from God. Like I absolutely mean it because I will be sitting at my computer and think to myself, what should I talk about this time? And then bam, a topic will pop into my head and it feels like it was out of left field, but I know it has to be from God. Like it has to be. Like there isn't any other place. And I wouldn't say this is true of every single episode I've done, but it feels like an even amount lately of like those kind of things. Like that is what happened today. I literally sat down and I was like, okay, I hadn't like pre-prepared something and I was like, okay, well, what are we going to do? What would be helpful? What would be important, right? Because I'm not just like picking topics willy-nilly because I want it to be helpful and I want to be able to kind of conversate with you about it. I don't want to just pop on here and be like, okay, let's have like 10 tips on this thing and then goodbye. No, I want to have a conversation. I want you to feel like you're talking to a friend. I want you to feel like, oh yeah, like, okay, like whether you agree or not, because like you can still disagree. Of course, I want you to know that. And we can still be friends and we can still like, be here. Because I don't think that people that are friends or that talk to each other have to agree on everything all the time. That's kind of ludicrous. So I'm just saying. Anyway, I am the queen of just getting off topic, right? So yes, this topic, I literally sat down and I was like, what am I going to talk about? And I was thinking, okay, well, what would be really helpful? Should I talk about, and I have like topics like written down in the file where I write all the outlines and everything. And I was looking that over and then I went to another place where I keep a lot of like inspiration. But then bam, all of a sudden it was like, oh, why don't you write about, feeling stressed and overwhelmed and struggling to sleep? And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, sure. And I typed that title in and then I started doing some research and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. This is going to be a perfect topic. And I don't think it's something that I've ever spoken on. And it's amazing that I'm still finding original things to talk about that aren't like a repeat of something I've already done in the last like previous seasons. It's crazy. That's why I'm saying like a lot of it has to be like God divine. Anyway, so I think that sometimes some people find it interesting how I come up with a topic. Literally, sometimes it's just like I'm blessed with it. And other times I've been thinking deeply about it or I've read something and it's kind of like, it led me to thinking more about that topic and how I think it would be helpful for you guys. And some things I'm just super passionate about and I need to talk about it, whether I think anyone will care or not. So, okay. Let's get into it. I've been talking for almost 18 minutes and we have not gotten into the tips. But if you're not new here, this is normal. But let's just get into it. Before we share the tips, I'm going to give my normal disclaimer. Everything that you are hearing here and the tips that I'm about to give are all based on my own personal research and experience and the experiences of others that I'm able to share. And if you feel like the tips and all the information I'm about to give you and have already given does just not align with what you think would help you sleep better when you're dealing with stress or you're feeling overwhelmed, I think that's totally fine. Again, I don't think there's anyone that knows everything. And I don't think that my advice is going to be good for every single person on the planet. That would be really cool, but I just know that statistically that's just not probable. And I think that's okay because it's just everything does not work for everyone. So if you find that's not going to be aligned with you, I do encourage you to find a counselor or a therapist to have a one-on-one chat with to figure out what would align best with you, to figure out better tips for you to figure out how to sleep better when dealing with stress and feeling overwhelmed. If you don't want to seek out a therapist or a counselor, I would highly encourage you to get on our best friend Google and type in how to sleep better when you are stressed or feeling overwhelmed, and you'll come across lots of videos and articles and research papers and podcasts and blogs and all of the things that you need to get to the answer that you would prefer, that aligns better with who you are and what you're doing in this season of life. So check that out. Okay. We got 5 tips to help you sleep better when you're dealing with stress and feeling overwhelmed. Let's jump right into it. Number 1 is practice wow. Can't even read my own notes, friends. Can't even read. Practice self-management techniques. Practice self-management techniques. Now, doing this throughout the day will have such a big impact on your sleep because you aren't bringing as much stress to bedtime as you would without doing something helpful during the day. So I would encourage you to try like yoga, stretching, which those are not the same things, okay, friends? You can literally just find like a stretching video, and then you can find like a full-on yoga video with all of like the poses and all the things that you need to do yoga. Journaling is good. And with journaling, I would say that you could consider just doing voice notes or just doing bullet points on your phone, on your computer, in like a written journal. All of that counts. So you could do that. You could chat with someone that you trust. So maybe it's like a therapist, a counselor, a best friend, a family friend, whomever. You could engage in meditation or prayer or both. And the meditation could be guided or not, whatever you think is best. And the last one is planning out your time. So definitely being efficient with how you plan out your day, how you organize your to-do lists, how you figure out how you're going to do things, and whether you need to seek out assistance and help, or you need to, what's the word I'm looking for? You just need to have other people do some work for you. I cannot think of the word that I'm looking for. It starts with a D. Delegate. That's the word. I get so hung up on that. I'm like, I need to know what the word is. Then let's just like pause the podcast for a second and figure out what the word is. Delegate. If you need to delegate out tasks that other people can help with really easily so they can cut back on your stress. And again, the point of this is really for you to implement like stress management techniques like during the day so that when you do come to bed, you aren't like overloaded with all that stuff because you just continue to pile it on and pile it on. And it's like physically and mentally like weighing you down. And that's not what you want. So it's important that you take the time to practice those things during the day. And I'm sure you're going to be like, Sabrina, I have no time to do that. And time is what you make it, basically. So you say you don't have time, then you need to figure out what's happening in your life that's not benefiting you right now and swap that out with something else that could benefit you. And yes, you will not know. You will not know if it's beneficial to you until you try it. So if you're able to like sub it in with something else temporarily to see if it'll help you, then do that. And then you could like formally fit it into your schedule. So figure that out. And again, I don't think that we should continually put up with the excuse. It's an excuse, not a reason. An excuse that we can't do something that we know would actually be something great to try by saying that we don't have time when we can make time, right? And it's just important for you to figure out. It's just like, okay, well, is it better to figure out a way to like incorporate yoga instead of, I don't know, what would be an example? Let's see. Something else that you're like, oh, maybe like a TV show, or maybe you can do both. Like, right? Like if you have a smartphone, maybe you can have your smartphone going with like the yoga poses while you watch your TV show, if that's the thing that you really enjoy doing and you only have time to watch like an hour of TV or whatever and you look forward to that. Or you can wake up earlier and try to like swap out tasks, you know what I mean? Or again, you can delegate and have people come alongside you and help you out so it can free up some of your time to do something else that will help you manage your stress during the day. So again, figure out what would be best for you. Sometimes these tasks can be done tandem with something else and help you manage your stress throughout the day so you bring less to your bedtime routine. Okay, moving on to number 2, create a bedtime routine. Look at that. Flawless transition. No. Create a bedtime routine. Now, I'm sure going into this, you're like, Sabrina, wow, classic tip. It is a classic tip, I think. It's something that I need to work on. I don't have a bedtime routine. I don't think anyone in my house has a bedtime routine. I think the closest thing that I have to a bedtime routine is the fact that I have to take some medicine and then take a supplement, and then sometimes I take another supplement, and then I have to wash my face because I, more often than not, maybe not, I don't know, maybe like 60-70% of the time wear makeup, so I have to wash my face and then get into bed. And then I'm trying to find a new wind down activity because my wind down activity right now is being on my phone, and I know that's not helpful with all the blue light situations. And then I kind of want to read a book, but if it's a book that I bought on Apple Books, then I have to read it on my phone, and then I'm like, tempted to be on the apps, except for if I read it on another device, maybe I wouldn't be. I guess I'm like thinking through this in the moment right now, guys. Like, okay, maybe I just like need to read it on my iPad because I don't really look at my social apps on there because it's just the format's weird. So maybe that's my idea. But yeah, so create a bedtime routine. I need to create one of those. I don't have one. My husband doesn't have one. My daughter doesn't have one. Like nobody has a bedtime routine. And I think that's really important for us to have a bedtime routine. So figure out what you need to do to wind down for bed and feel as calm as you can. Because the amazing thing about routines and building up habitual things that we do is that then your body and your mind like expect it. It's kind of like, when like your dog or your cat knows it's almost dinner time. They're like, oh my gosh, it's almost supper time. And they like feel that happening. They like feel the time getting closer to that. And like if you establish a routine at bedtime, it's like your body and your mind are like, oh my gosh, we're getting close to that routine. That routine's going to help us calm down and make us feel better. And you like look forward to it. So you want to create a routine that you actually like. Don't like load it full of crap that you think you should do that you don't want to do. Like I said, if I give you a suggestion for something, you're like, I hate that, Sabrina. I don't want to do that. Then don't do that. Find something else. Goodness. Okay? Just because someone gives you an idea, piece of advice, a tip, it doesn't mean you have to follow it like to the letter, like to the exact like twist and turn that they suggest. Just take it and make it into your own and see what works best for you, okay? So yeah, figure out what you need to do to wind down and become calm. Maybe it's taking a bath or maybe like a hot shower, maybe if you like shower before bed kind of person. Maybe it's just like writing down all your worries and your stressors and to-dos on like a pad or on your phone, just so you can like kind of physically put them aside for the rest of the night and be like, okay, it's all written down. I will deal with it tomorrow. There's nothing I can do now. Why would I sit here and worry about it, right? So it's kind of like get it down on paper or on your phone electronically and then let it go until the next day. Reading a book. And I think that like reading any book probably is like calming and helpful and, not too overstimulating. I don't know. You have to like figure that out. I prefer to read things that are like encouraging and affirming like right before bed. So I have a lot of books that are like mindset, poetry kind of things where they're really encouraging and they're like affirmations and meditations and things like that. And I like to keep those by my bedside because if I were to read like one of the fun books that I'm reading, even if it's a self-help book, it's like too engaging and then I'm all like want to read it all night. And that used to happen to me all the time where I'd stay up so late reading books in bed on my Kindle. And that became like, kryptonite to my bedtime routine, to me going to sleep because I was so super engaged. So for me, I had to choose a specific type of book that I would read before bed if that's what I'm going to do, so that it's more calming and not like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in the next chapter of this like psychological thriller that I'm reading that I thoroughly enjoy. You know what I mean? So like reading a book, maybe it's deep breathing exercises, maybe it's listening to calm music. That was what I was talking about. Listening to music in general, when I was growing up, that was the thing for me. That was part of my bedtime routine. So really just figure out what would work best for you and then get that dialed in and try it out. And again, you might try something and it doesn't really work for you. You're like, oh no, I don't really like taking a hot shower or a bath before bed. That's totally fine. Maybe you like to take time to do your skincare, or maybe you like to just sit in the bathroom and turn the hot water on so you just have some steam or whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? You can figure it out to incorporate into your bedtime routine. You know what I mean? So yeah, create a bedtime routine that is beneficial to you. Number 3 is get your room right. Get your room right. I thought that was cute. So cut back on like bright screens and bright lights that will keep your brain awake. It's like the one thing that drives me crazy. And I haven't really talked to my husband about how things have like come full circle with him having all this crap on when we're trying to sleep. But this kid is obsessed with friggin' night lights, you guys. Like the ones that you just like plug into the wall and they're like light censored. So like if it's dark, it will come on. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, we have 2 of those in the bedroom, like in the main bedroom. And then he also has one of those sleep clock things, halo rings. It's like the Amazon version of the the hatch. You know that the hatch where I think a lot of people buy it for their kids, but adults buy it too. Where it's like the sunrise clock. Yes, that's what like the main term is. And so Amazon has their own version of it, and so he bought it to try it out because it's cheaper than the hatch. And he loves it. And that doesn't really bother me that much. But it's like you got the hatch, and then we have like 2 night lights, and then you have the TV going in. It's a big TV in our bedroom. Like I was not all for it, but then like we weren't gonna buy a smaller TV, and it's just like, okay, this is where we are. And I told him, I was like, we're gonna put a TV up. You're gonna have to turn it off. Like when I go to bed, if I just feel like it's too bright. It's just too bright. And um and I have noticed when he leaves the TV on, he goes to sleep before me. I'm like, bro, if you're falling asleep, turn the TV off or give me the remote so I can turn it off. Because you can't turn the TV off with like Alexa commands, but that would be so annoying in the middle of the night to him, I'm sure. Anyway, yeah, it's so important. It's crazy how I literally can fall asleep anywhere if I'm really tired, but if I'm like going to bed, I need like the TV to be off. I don't like it to be bright. I am secretly thinking about unplugging all the night lights because they drive me freaking crazy. His whole thing is like he doesn't want to have to walk through the bedroom and step on something, like step on the dog or step on a dog toy or something like that. And I get that, but I'm also like, why do we need like 20 night lights in the bedroom? Why? Why do we need them? Anyway, so cut back on bright screens and bright lights. So if you have a TV on, maybe like set like a timer for it to go off. I feel like we need to do that. That's probably like the way to solve my problem. And then like have like blackout curtains if you need that. I know growing up in Alaska in the summertime, the sun would shine like all night, it felt like. And so we had to put thick blankets and foil over our windows. And so nowadays you can just get blackout curtains, which is amazing. And so just make sure you're like keeping the light out because that can be distracting to your brain. Also, manage the perfect temperature in the room for you and in your home, and whether you like to run hot or cold. I think someone said the perfect temperature is like 68 or 67 or 69 between there. Between like 67 and 69, I think, to sleep in your home, to have like that be the temp, because then your body is not overly hot, but it's also like just cooled enough where you're not like shivering. And so make sure the temp is right for whatever you need. You have like the right amount of pillows. If you like to sleep with 20 million pillows, if you like to sleep with no pillows, 1 pillow. I personally like to sleep with 1 pillow behind my head and then a body pillow and then a pillow on the other side just to be like cocooned in. I like to be snuggy. And then I have my like comfy blanket underneath the sheet, underneath the comforter. It's a whole thing. And then I have to, because I have to have the comfy blanket be the one that's covering my ears while I'm sleeping. I need to have my ears covered if I'm like aware of being like asleep. It's a whole thing. It's so weird. Anyway, just figure out what's right for you, right? Pillows, blankets, jammies, whether you wear jammies, you don't wear jammies, like whatever your thing is, socks, pets, whether you like your pets to sleep with you or you don't, or you've kind of trained your pets to just like sleep wherever you are and they aren't bothered when you move around in bed. Decide on earplugs if your partner snores or there's just like loudness. If your home is right next to like a main road and it's loud. And what was the other one? Oh, soft music. If you need music in the background, like I was talking about growing up, I always have music in the background to fall asleep to. Maybe you have some like lo-fi hip hop going, that's like a chill version. And if you want like a sleep mask, there's been times in my life where I go back and forth between having like a sleep mask. I think the best one I ever had, I think I still have it somewhere, is it's a weighted one. And that one just felt so nice. It was, the silk ones are nice and like the ones that you get for free at some hotels. But if you get like one that's weighted with like these little beads and just like it's so soft on your face, but it's like a little bit of compression, it feels so nice. It feels so nice. I think I got that one on Amazon for like under $20. So just get your room right, right? Make sure everything's set up. Make sure you feel good about going to sleep in that room. Make sure you feel cozy. Make sure you have all your comforts that you like to sleep with, My daughter likes to sleep with a million squishmallows. That's like her thing. And figure out what you need. Okay, number 4. Let's move it along. I'm like chit-chatting a lot today. So hopefully that's okay. We'll see. We'll see how many people are just like, you know what, Sabrina, hurry it up. Number 4, try out some relaxation techniques. So I have a couple suggestions, and this is actually something that I want to start trying. Again, I don't really have trouble falling asleep. Sometimes I do. Sometimes. But people have always said that my superpower is just being able to fall asleep when I need to fall asleep. I don't know. But I do want to try some of these when I do just feel like so stressed and overwhelmed and just really need to go to sleep, but I'm worrying about everything in the entire world. And that's also the theme of what we're talking about, because even with creating a bedtime routine, you want something that's going to help you calm down, and even getting your room right. You want to cut this calm, like welcoming atmosphere for you to feel chill in, and where you feel like your stress and your overwhelm just kind of like melts down a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to completely go away, but it's going to kind of melt down a little bit when you get into your room to get ready for sleep, right? And so trying out some relaxation techniques can definitely help you bring your stress and your overwhelming level down even more, so that you're at the lowest point that you can get for that day. Because I know day to day it's going to change by trying all of these things. So an example of a relaxation technique that you can try is visualization. So you just sit there and you actually imagine like a scene that's calming. So I think like a classic example is like a beach. If you like beaches, maybe you don't like a beach. Maybe you just like a big old park or like a lake or snowbank. I don't know. But visualize the scene. Like in your mind, close your eyes, just really see it. And then the smells. So if you're at the beach, you're smelling the salt water, sand, sunshine. I know it sounds weird to say you can smell sunshine, but sunshine has a smell at the beach, at least. The fresh air, right? But maybe you're like on a golf, I don't know. Was it like a golf? Why am I golf course. Wow. Okay. That like word slipped out. I've been to a golf course, guys. Like maybe you prefer to be like on a golf course and you like the smell of fresh cut grass. I hate that smell, by the way, random. But you like just imagine like that smell, and that just is comforting to you. You imagine the sounds. So if you're at the beach, you're thinking about the waves crashing on the sand. You're thinking about that little soft noise that happens when you're walking through the sand, the trees blowing in the wind, and maybe birds in the air, that kind of thing. And you just really like visualize the whole thing, like any place that helps you feel calm. You do the whole thing. You pretend like you really try to immerse yourself as much as you can in that whole experience. Just like bring it all down for you. You could also try self-massage as like a relaxation technique. So whether you have like a foam roller or you have like a massage device that you would use, like an electronic device, or like a tennis ball. And if you don't have any of those things, you can still just use your hands and like lightly massage your body, like your arms, your legs, your feet, your head, your face, and just lightly, massage yourself. You can look up some graphics online or maybe some videos on YouTube on how to do that to create that relaxation in your body and just like feel so light or heavy in your bed and just be like, okay, yeah, I feel so good. So self-massage can definitely help. Guided meditation. I know I kind of like mentioned that in the first one, but I think that relaxation techniques where we don't have to really do any of the thinking, like guided meditation, can be really helpful because they're telling you what to do, when to breathe, and all this stuff. So that can be really good. Or grounding. And I threw grounding in here because I think that it could really help people that just really need that to reconnect with what's happening right now in the present. So if you're really, really stressed, you can like step outside and step on the grass or the dirt, or just take your shoes off and stand inside your house, whatever you need to do, touch water, whatever it is. Ground yourself to whatever you need to do, and look that up more online if you want more examples. And that can help you kind of like relax when you reconnect with something that helps you feel calm and connected and like, okay, things are going to be okay. I'm in this present moment right now practicing mindfulness. This will help. And so that's a great way to practice a relaxation technique that could really help. Okay, so number 5, the last one that I have to share with you today is one that's actually really helped me a lot, if I've been like really stressed or can't sleep and overwhelmed, is consider what you're eating and taking to supplement your body. Consider what you're eating and taking to supplement your body. So my doctor, all of this is based on what my doctor, that is a naturopath and is licensed to, be a doctor or whatever, however that works, suggested, because I was telling her how I can fall asleep, but I have trouble staying asleep. I will wake up often. That used to be a really big problem for me. It still is if I don't do the right things. But my doctor suggested eating a snack before bed or like keeping a snack next to my bed because it would help me stay asleep, and something with like healthy fats and carbs. And this is actually like not just a thing that I do. I think that John Legend's wife does this, and I feel like there's an influencer like the Birds Papaya. I feel like she'd mentioned that, but there's definitely people where I realized that this wasn't just a me thing, and it wasn't just like a weird suggestion that my doctor was making. It's like I was having trouble falling asleep because I just didn't have enough of those nutrients in my body, and that was a problem. That is a problem for me. It is a problem for me because I do have issues with my gut and like actually like holding on the nutrients and things like that. So I would have that snack, or I would keep like a snack that didn't need to be refrigerated next to my bed. Now I know some people, I've heard their stories of like keeping like cheese just on their bedside table. I don't know. I don't think I would do that, but maybe if you had like a little tiny fridge, like one of those skincare fridges next to your bed, and you can just keep it in there and then eat a piece of cheese in the middle of the night if you were waking up. But I did find that having like a snack before bed was helpful, and I often have a snack before bed now because it just feels filling and it helps my body calm. So that helps me. So you could try that or talk to your own doctor about it. I also started taking magnesium glycinate, however you say it. Someone like kind of like made fun of me on TikTok for saying it the wrong way, and I'm like, I don't really care. It's a great supplement. And again, my doctor suggested that I take that because I was telling her that, oh no, it was my chiropractor actually, which is like close friends with my doctor, which is hilarious. But I was telling her that I would wake up and my body would feel so tense, like it was holding on to all the stress and overwhelm overnight. And so I'd wake up feeling so much pain. She's like, oh, okay, well, if you just take this, the magnesium glycinate, whatever, and take that before bed, and that will really help. And I did start taking that at a higher dose than most people would take because my doctor said I could. And I did wake up feeling so much better, as if, I'd come to bed and I feel like I wasn't stressed in my mind, but I was still stressed in my body. And so that helped to like release the stress in my body as well. And then I also have been taking like a tincture, which I get from my neurofeedback doctor that's also in the same office as my naturopath. And she makes me a tincture that has like oats and hops and skullcap and sunflower or something, I think, and maybe something else. And she mixes it together, and it's just, I drop it into like a small, tiny cup of water, like one of those bathroom Dixie cups, and I drink that before bed, and that really helps me to stay asleep because that's my biggest problem. It's just like, I think it has to do with stress and feeling overwhelmed. It's just like I will fall asleep, but then I'll wake up and I'll just be worrying about stuff, and I won't be able to go back to sleep, and I need those things to keep me asleep so I actually get like a full sleep cycle. Like I get all the sleep REMs, whatever it is that I need, so that I can wake up and like have a good day and not feel so super crappy. So that's something to consider. Also, I wanted to throw this in here. It's like the most classic tip, but it's good to be reminded that caffeine is also something to be avoided before bed if you find that it kind of like spikes you up a little bit and then like adds to the stress and the overwhelm that you feel, and then you have trouble falling asleep because the caffeine's keeping you up, or it just kind of induces a little stress in you. I know caffeine can sometimes do that. But I am the kind of person, I know many people like this, where I can drink a cup of coffee and then go take a nap. So, you have to figure out like what works best for you. I don't think I could do that with an energy drink though. So I definitely would not drink that before bed. Just something to consider. And then lastly, also consider becoming aware of whether you're eating things that upset your digestive system, because you don't need something else to stress about. So let's say you do all of these practices and you come to bed and you find that it really helps you to like feel less stress, right? But then you eat something really bad, really close to bedtime, and then your digestive system is just like yelling at you and it's so much pain. And then you just added on something else that stressed you out. That also could be a cue for you to figure out if you have like food intolerances or sensitivities or whatever. But then you just like pack on the stress of like your body's in stress because it hates what's happening right now. And when you add in even that little bit of stress, it could also be like this like welcoming like party of like, oh hey, well we're here, we're stressing, so all the other stress, you can come out and join the party now. And it's like, surprise, we're having an impromptu party, and all the stresses are like, oh, okay, hey, we're here. So just kind of consider like what you're eating, what you're ingesting, what you're taking in your body. If you're taking supplements that help you sleep, maybe you're taking supplements at night that are actually keeping you up and causing you to feel, and then the stress is induced because you can't get to sleep because those things are holding you up. And we kind of figured that out with echinacea with my husband. That was keeping him up when he was having it in like tea form. So just things to really figure out what works for you, what doesn't. Trial and error will really help you. I know it feels like you waste time kind of doing that, but at least you'll know, and then you'll be able to move forward, right? So just try that. But I think that really considering what you're eating and taking as a supplement will be very, very helpful. Okay, I think I've talked enough about this. I did not realize I was going to be able to talk this much about this. So hopefully it was helpful to everyone. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. I am with me, Sabrina. I appreciate you listening, downloading, sharing the show. Don't forget to check the show notes below to see if you want to join the weekly newsletter, if you want to come say hi to me on socials, if you want to send me an email, if you want to join or participate in anonymous venting, all the things. Take a little peek-a-rooney, check it out. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one, and I appreciate every single one of you. Bye.